There's a lot of activity these days in outer space. The U.S. and Russia have been rocketing astronauts into space since the 1960s, and sometimes it seems like they're running out of stuff to do up there. They even ask school children now to suggest space experiments. And some years back, the Russians tried to do something very interesting. Two cosmonauts at the Mir space station deployed a large aluminum reflector 20 meters across. The purpose of the device was to reflect the sunlight back to the Earth. And as they rotated the reflector, they even saw a flash of light appear in on the darkened surface of the Earth. So what did the people of Earth experience at that time? Maybe there were children out counting stars, or a pair of lovers cuddled on a park bench. Suddenly, from a spot where no star appeared to be, there would have been an unexplained flash of light, and I would think that might get people wondering. Actually, what these cosmonauts did that night is really no different from what happens every single day of the year, if you think about it. For 12 hours a day, give or take, Earthlings see the sun. We've grown accustomed to it. We take it for granted. The sun illumines our days. It greens our plants and our rice. It melts the snow. It warms our earth. Still, for a fleeting instant, those cosmonauts caused the sun to shine where no one expected it. Out of darkness, literally, it caused the world to see a great light. A reading from the prophet Isaiah. People walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of darkness, a light has dawned, for unto us a child is born. Unto us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful, Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the greatness of his government and peace there will be no end. He will reign on David's throne and over his kingdom, established and upholding it with justice and righteousness from this time and forever. The zeal of the Lord Almighty will accomplish this. I read about the Norwegian town of Rjukan. It's an interesting place. It doesn't get a lot of sunlight. Imagine going without the sun for 6 months every year. See, Rjukan is at the bottom of a narrow river valley hedged by steep mountain slopes in a way, way northern latitude. There would have never been a town there at all if industrialist Samuel Ide hadn't built a new fertilizer plant there so he could take advantage of cheap hydroelectric power. Now, Ide's factory offered plenty of employment, but at great human cost. The steep mountain walls make Rjukan a gloomy place to live. Long, arduous Norwegian winters, when the sun barely rises over the horizon, the people of Rjukan live in perpetual twilight. The effects of on the human spirit are predictably grim. Rjukan is a dark, dreary, depressing place to live. Now, I tried to make it better there. He built workers' houses as far up the mountain slopes as possible. He even put in a cable car system so that his workers and their families could occasionally make forays up to the top and into the sunlight. The idea of reflecting sunlight into the valley with a mirror was first floated by one of Ide's own bookkeepers in 1913. However, the technology just wasn't there. But soon the technology made it possible, and at a cost of nearly $1 million, 3 immense mirrors were constructed atop the surrounding peaks in 2013. Carefully situated to catch the maximum amount of sunlight and reflect it down, their angles adjusted throughout the day by solar-powered electric motors. I love it. Rujicon's mirror array now reflects winter sunlight down into the valley. And the quality of life in Rujicon has been dramatically improved. Even Luddite mirror opponents have been won over. What was once a parking lot in the village center has become the town square now, a bustling hub where neighbors go and pause to socialize. And when the mirrors were first installed, townspeople delightedly donned sunglasses and unfolded beach chairs in the parking lot there, tilting their faces upward to take in the sunlight. Now, benches now grace the sunniest spots in Rujicon, and the town is even considering installing a fountain to make the marketplace there a gathering place, a tourist attraction. The citizens of Rujicon once walked in darkness. Now, thank you science and innovative high-tech wizardry of these mountaintop mirrors, they have seen a great light. Of course, the prophet Isaiah never knew a Norwegian winter, but he didn't have to. Anyone who's ever lived through the dark of night can appreciate the healing properties of light. Looking hopefully to the birth of a Messiah, and for him, for Isaiah, that would have been the new King Hezekiah, who would rule over the people with justice and kindness. The prophet compared this good news to the return of the sun. Now, years later, Jesus Christ was born into the world to save light-starved people like you and me. We Christians regard him as the Messiah of Israel, the very one we believe that Isaiah praises as the light bringer. Jesus himself says in John chapter 8, I am the light of the world. Not only is Jesus light bringer, Jesus is the light of the world. Jesus brings the light of hope. A candle flame is a popular metaphor, very popular for hope. Numerous NGOs and nonprofits will use this imagery in their annual fundraising. Light brings hope. When dark breaks and darkness flees, hope returns to the human spirit. When the sun rises, we have renewed hope in this day, that this day will bring many blessings. Jesus brings us the light of hope. His birth reminds us that there is hope for the world. The words are on the page. The candle of hope. Let's sing. The candle of hope we light in this hour proclaims that the Lord is coming in power. We wait for a future now hidden from view, when Christ in his glory will make all things new.
Does everyone have a bulletin? No, where are we?
We're going to fix that. Does everyone have a candle for later? Jesus brings the light of joy, of peace. Isaiah yearned for a king who would push back the darkness by force of arms. Now we all know that that's impossible. Human armies may briefly serve the cause of justice and peace, however, in the end, they always fail to deliver lasting light. Theologian Jürgen Moltmann finds peace in the advent of God, not as a mighty warrior, but as a helpless infant. The candle of peace. Let's all sing. The candle of peace shines bright with God's plan. The wolf will lie down and dwell with the lamb. Our guns and our weapons, our hatred and war will give way to gardens that heal and restore. Jesus brings the light of joy. You remember what the angel said to the shepherds? Remember? Do not be afraid. For see, I am bringing you good news of great joy for all people. To you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, who is the Messiah, the Lord. Have you ever noticed what happens to a person's face when they are suddenly hit by a lightning bolt of joy? Their entire face changes as they light up and they're suddenly alive again. When Jesus was born, everything changed. But it's not just important that Jesus was born into the world, it is important that Jesus is born in us. When Jesus abides in us, we too can experience the deeply satisfying joy that he brings. The candle of joy. The candle of joy reminds us to sing, for God is at work to do a new thing. The proud will be humbled, the lowly will rise. God's kingdom is one of delight and surprise. Jesus brings the light of love. Flame or fire, they often are used to describe love. It's a common metaphor. We all know that when we have love in our lives, we have light. And when we don't, we feel as though we're in the darkness. Jesus is the light of the world. And that light is the perfect embodiment of love. Jesus' love brings light into the world, even as our love helps us to spread it all around. The candle of love. The candle of love tells what we are worth. God's loves us so much, God came to the earth. An angel brought news of a child who would be the one who would save us and set us all free. For too long, the villagers of Rjukan in Norway sat there in the darkness, and then a great light shone upon them. If you poll the residents of Rjukan today, they will tell you how the light that came with those mirrors, the light gives them hope. The light brought them a sense of peace. Light lit up their faces with joy, and the light empowered them to love once again. The light of the Christ child likewise brings us hope, peace, joy, and love this Christmas.
The Christ candle's light that shines for us here tells out the good news that God has come near. God came a poor baby in one time and place to show